A large part of being an owner operator and a small business owner is your ability to solve problems. Um, you know, you try to minimize things when they're small. Avoid problems if you can. Try to stay on top of everything. Pay attention to all the detail. Hopefully, you only have very small problems in your business because you're paying attention and you're diligently working at it, that they stay manageable. But every once in a while, you'll have an unexpected problem occur. Usually it's a breakdown, but a lot of times what I do is I research a lot of things, and I will do a Google search. I will search YouTube. I will go on my favorite Facebook groups. I will ask for help from people with experience, like a truck, an owner operator, and get tips and suggestions. And I'll talk to mechanics, and I'll talk to dealerships and service managers. But I'm always trying to learn. I'm always collecting information. I'm evaluating what I learned, and then I reach my own conclusions. I don't necessarily do what a lot of people might recommend. I listen to them. I say, okay, I understand what you're saying. You know, my situation may be a little bit unique. That solution may not fit exactly, but you're never going to have perfect information. If you keep procrastinating your decision making, waiting to gather more and more information, you're going to be waiting a long, long time. You're never going to have absolute 100% all the information you need in order to make the best decision. You can make a good decision, but you won't be able to make a perfect decision. And I think that's where people struggle, is like the uncertainty, of the outcome based on their decision. It's like, well, I'm not sure. I don't want to take that chance. I don't want to risk it. I understand, but there comes a point where you can research it all more and more and more and more and more till the cows come home. You're still not going to have 100% foolproof information. You're going to have to take a little bit of chance at the end. You're going to have to roll the dice and hope for the best. Uh, a lot of times I face this situation with problems when it's mechanical issues with a truck. And I've learned in the past, don't second guess the Detroit Diesel certified mechanic. That guy has more experience than anybody you're ever going to talk to. They work on these trucks every single day, year over year over year over year. Your truck isn't unique to any other owner operator's truck. So if this Detroit Diesel certified mechanic tells you need, this type of repair, don't second guess it. He's certified. Now, if it's a TA mechanic, well, yeah, you're going to second guess everything that guy tells you, or some local shop, that, you don't have a good feel for, you're probably going to second guess everything they tell you, but a lot of times you'll be faced with problems that may be business problems. And you're like, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe it's a legal problem. I don't know what the answer to that is either. So you call upon experts to give you advice and counsel. All they can do is make recommendations. They can't make the decision for you. You're going to have to decide what's best for you and for your small business. Someone could say, they recommend that you form an S Corp, an LLC S Corp, but it's up to you if you want to run as a sole proprietor or as an LLC. They can recommend that you pay, so much for insurance, but if you find something else that's a little bit lower price, it's up to you. So problems come up all the time. And as a small business owner, it's going to rely on your experience. You do your homework, you seek advice from, other owner operators, and you seek expert advice. But ultimately, you're going to have to make a decision. You're never going to have perfect information. You just do the best you can, and then evaluate it over a period of time, see how it's going. Maybe in that evaluation period, you find a better solution, and then you can make a change. Maybe, your gut instincts was good and you're happy with your decision. But no matter what you do, you can always try to improve. You're always looking to continuously improve your business. So you may have a local mechanic you like, but that doesn't mean you stop looking for a better mechanic. You keep looking, you keep your eye out, pay attention, talk to other people. You may have a better solution for your needs. Same thing with any aspect of your business, accounting, maintenance accounts, credit cards, there's a solution for every business situation you can find yourself in. Now, you may not like the solution because it may require going into debt, but there is a solution, so, if the engine blows in your truck, there are solutions for that. You can replace your engine. You can try to do an in-frame overhaul. You can replace your truck, but there is a solution, and that's the way with all aspects of your business. The solution is out there. You got to go find it, so you got to be a problem solver. You got to always be thinking, you got to always be thinking about potential problems that could come up, and then start thinking of strategies and how you're going to deal with that before the problem arises. You don't think about paying for a maintenance repair when the maintenance repair occurs. You're planning ahead. You got money set aside. You got credit available if you need it. You're thinking about that warranty, thinking about that repair shop. Where would you go if you had this type of thing, happen with your truck? So, as you're driving down the road, you're always thinking of potential problems and solutions to those problems. And, it's as much as we are individuals, our business model is not unique. It's not unique at all. If you have that problem, I guarantee you someone else has had that problem. So it's not like you're going to reinvent the wheel. Someone else has already faced that situation. They've already have a solution. You just got to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, a little bit of talking to other owner operators or mechanics, and find a solution. It's out there. You may think there's no solution, but there's a solution. There's a solution for everything. There's tens of thousands of owner operators. They all face similar problems and hurdles to overcome. So your ability to network with other drivers is going to be very, very important to help you solve problems. You don't have to solve the problems on your own. You can reach out to other owner operators, and more than likely, the guys are willing to help one another. But you gotta first ask for help. But problem solving is a very big part of being a small business owner. If you're not a good problem solver, you may want to think twice about purchasing a truck. If you don't like problems, you don't like dealing with problems, you're like, oh, no, I don't no problems. Well, then you better stay as a company driver, because I guarantee you, owner operators deal with a lot of problems. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the internet.